Okay. 2-3, subtracting integers. Yesterday we talked about adding integers. The day before we looked at absolute values and just integers in general. Today we're going to look at subtraction. So let's start just like we did yesterday. Let's look at some basics. Board's a little off this morning. Let's just go with some standard subtraction. If I've got a positive 6 and I'm subtracting 15, I can already look at this and notice that my first number is smaller than my second number, which is going to tell me that I'm going to end up with a negative value at the end. So when I take 6 minus 15, my answer is going to be negative. Now the question is, what's the easiest way to get the answer? Well, then I'm going to take the 15 and I'm going to subtract 6 from it, and that's going to give me an answer of 9. So 6 minus 15 is going to be negative 9. Let's look at another example just like that. Again, my second number is bigger than my first one, so I know that my answer is going to be negative. And in this case, 8 minus 27, I just flip it around and take 27 minus 8. That's going to give me a negative 19. Let's try one more that looks just like this. Again, first number smaller than second, so my answer is going to be negative. 12 minus 32, I flip that around to 32 minus 12, and that makes my answer negative 20. Now let's look at when we might have a little black out there. How about negative 14 minus 18? This is one of the confusing parts for most kids when I see two negatives. We kind of in the back of our mind want to think of two negatives make a positive, but that only works in multiplication. When we're adding and subtracting, two negatives make a bigger negative. For example, if I lose $14 and then I lose $18 more, there's no way that I can have a positive loss. It's just going to be a bigger loss. So when I am subtracting two negative numbers, my answer will always be negative, and then I just add the two numbers together. If I've lost 14, then I've lost 18. I add them together and I have lost a total of 32. I like to use money. I like to use weight. If I lose 14 pounds on a diet and then I lose 18 pounds more, then I've lost 32 pounds total. You might have something like this. I worked on rewriting these yesterday in class. Anytime I'm adding a negative, all I'm doing is subtracting. So this could be written as negative 10 minus 4. If I lose 10, then I lose 4. I've lost a total of 14. What if I have, now let's do one more of those. Let me go here to the right. How about negative 6 minus 22? I lose 6, I lose 22, I add them together, and I've lost a total of 28. Sometimes I call this the double loser effect. I lose, so I've lost more, and I add them all together. What about something like this? What if I'm subtracting a negative value? You'll notice in the one before we just subtracted a value. Now I'm subtracting a negative value separated by parentheses. Parentheses in operations tell me that I'm going to multiply. So in this case, when I do take a negative times a negative, that will make a positive. So that's going to be negative 9 plus 4. Now my negative 9, the 9 is bigger than the 4, so I know my answer is going to be negative. And from 9 to 4, there are 5 spaces. We need to be able to see the difference between these two problems. Do you see that on the left side we have minus a negative, but on the right side we just have minus a 4? Two totally different problems. This is my two loser effect again, where I've lost 9 and I've lost 4. So total, I have lost 13. We need to be able to recognize the difference between these two examples. Okay, and finally, they're going to have some substitution for you. So let's say if I give you x equals 4 and y equals negative 6. Let's look at two examples. Let's look at x minus y. And then let's look at negative 4 minus y. So what we want to do here, let's look at the first one. We want to substitute in everything that we know. So everywhere we see an x, we're going to substitute a 4. Bring down the signs. Everywhere we see a y, we're going to substitute a negative 6. Because I already have a negative here, I need to go parentheses. I brought down my negative, and then I stated my y value. Minus a minus, like we did in the example previous, turns into a plus, and I come up with an answer of 10. Now, over here, we have negative 4, bring down my minus sign, and then state my y. So I have negative 4 minus a negative 6, which these two negatives, because of the parentheses, changes into a positive. Now in this case, the 6 is bigger. And I know the value that's connected to the 6 is positive, so my answer is going to be positive. I could turn this around to 6 minus 4. These are both the same thing, giving me a final answer of 2. So we'll see you in class in the morning.